When it comes to immigration, it means for them is just acquiring a visa and just coming into the UK and find any way to just get lost in the system sometimes. But the time actually starts from there when you've got your visa. Like many other migrants, my journey started in the UK as a student initially back in early 2010. And if you haven't got the right type of visa stream for yourself, if you haven't selected the right type of industry for yourself, that's when the trouble starts. From the last comment actually, because they came into power by making a promise to the local or a British people that they'll be bringing down the net migration. But in opposite that figure, which was back in 2019, that has now fourfold in 2024. If you provide any wrong information, even if you got settled, if they at any point come to know, they will strip down your settlement as well, and they can take off your nationality even. Make sure you choose the right course, first of all, which will help you to develop your skills. I hope the podcast was helpful for you guys. We covered most of the questions which are frequently being asked. So if you have any...
Hello and welcome to another episode of Social Untold. This is the show where we bring you stories and make you understand changes in the system that affect hundreds, thousands, sometimes millions of people. Today we are here with you with another similar story, which is something that we've all heard in the news about, something that keeps on changing, keeps on affecting tens of thousands of people, the UK immigration laws. We have a specialist with us, Mr. Riyaz Chaudhry. I'll let him introduce himself. Hello, sir. How are you? Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on this show. So I was much excited to, join this podcast today. And I hope your audience would like to listen, and they'll be having some benefit after our discussion today.
Super. So let's start by understanding a bit more about yourself first. So where did you start? How did you start? Was this a choice? Did you always wanted to be in immigration as a lawyer? So tell us your story first.
So like many other people or many other migrants, my journey started in the UK as a student initially back in early 2010. So I came as a student, I've studied here, and then I got a skilled worker visa, and eventually I got settled here. But throughout this journey, I saw many issues or problems that many migrants face. As like myself, I faced some challenges here. So having a thought in mind and having some background in the student consultation and also with the immigration services. So I developed my skills or honed my skills in this field, and the interest got built up. And then I had the relevant qualification from the UK and started my career as an immigration lawyer in the UK.
Fantastic. So how long have you been working as a lawyer now?
So it's been nearly 7 years working as a lawyer. So,
and specifically within immigration?
Yes, our main area of focus is for personal and corporate immigration.
Fantastic. Okay. So tell us, there are loads of questions. I'm sure you would have been asked so many different questions. There are loads of myths, misunderstandings that people have. So I want to start by asking you, what is the first or the biggest misunderstanding you find amongst your clients when it comes to immigration law?
So people oftenly think that when it comes to immigration, it means for them is just acquiring a visa and just coming into the UK and find any way to just, get lost in the system sometimes, or they just believe that just getting a visa is the start or end of their journey now because they've just come into the UK. Mm-hmm. But the time actually starts from there when you've got your visa. And if you haven't got the right type of visa stream for yourself, if you haven't selected the right type of industry for yourself, that's when the trouble starts. Mm-hmm. So people oftenly come here and then they get into further trouble. Mm-hmm. Instead of resolving their issues, they come up with financial problems. their visa issues, their family issues start to develop. So I think when it comes to making a decision about migrating to any country, you really need to find a way which is appropriate, suitable for you. Like many people, they think that if they come as a student, they will just get an easy entry, and they're gonna make some money while studying in the UK. But that's not actually happening. So I think the initial decision is really important. I mean, everyone has to find a proper way for them so that they make a right choice at the very beginning.
So in essence, what you feel is the biggest misconception is that the biggest problem is entry into the UK.
Because that's the foundation from where the problems actually start. If you have entered on a different visa or on a wrong visa, I would say, and your objective is to make money or get settlement, then you need to really find a way where you can get the proper placement or a proper job inside the country, and develop or also make the right amount of money which you have come into the country.
Fantastic. Okay, so good point there, guys. So the point here is choose the route wisely and plan long term, don't plan short term. Am I right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now talking about there are loads of changes, there are things that keep on changing. Sometimes we lose track of what has changed, what hasn't changed. Talking about in the last 12 months, we've heard a lot of chatter about things changing.
Yeah.
And some of those things are proposed changes. They're not actually changes yet. We'll go on to those in a minute. If you can just tell us what are the key changes that have been made in the last 12 months within this immigration area.
I'll start from the last government actually, because they came into power by making a promise to the local or a British people that they'll be bringing down the net migration. But in opposite that figure, which was back in 2019, that has now fourfold in 2024. So which means that if there were 200,000 people getting settlement in the UK in this year, it is about nearly 900,000 people. So nearly 1 million people, which has it's a fourfold figure since then. So that has actually left the people not to trust on the political statements anymore. So now this government, they took it seriously and they have decided to cut down the net migration. And also they're making some changes to stop the illegal migration as well, because there are two different kinds of migrations happening. As you might heard that there are a number of people coming from the Channel Island and they're making illegal crossings on the border. So now since they've introduced a lot of changes since they've come into the government, and they have reduced the number of legal migration routes.
So sorry, I'm just trying to understand a bit more. So what we're saying is the aim was to reduce the net migration.
That's correct.
That was the aim or the promise made by the Conservative government.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
And then that didn't happen. Instead, it became 4 times as much.
Yes.
And now the current government, which is the Labour government, is taking that action plan forward. Is that right?
Yeah, they're trying to take control, as you have heard about the talked about immigration white paper, which was recently in the all over news channels,
yes,
social media, etc., and was very well hyped. So those changes, they decided to bring those changes into different time of the year. So some of the changes have already taken place, which we can discuss if you like. And some of them, some of the proposed changes will be taking place later this year.
Okay. So what are the changes that have taken place already?
So including, as I said, so they want to cut down the net migration. For that purpose, they've reduced the number of visas on which people used to come as skilled workers, especially for the support workers. They introduced a health and care worker visa. Yes. For which they have stopped the outside country applications. So people are no longer allowed to make new applications under that visa.
Okay.
So that's one of the key changes. And so on, they've stopped people bringing dependents under that route. So
Okay.
those who are working on lower skilled or a medium skilled job, they cannot bring their dependents anymore.
Oh, wow. Okay. As previously, they were able to do it.
They were able to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now this change that so is this one of the proposed changes, something that we've heard a lot? The 5-year route changing over to the 10-year route.
Yes.
And then also, in some circumstances, you may be able to reduce the 10-year route down to 5. Is that correct? Am I understanding it
yes,
right?
that was one of the proposed policy proposals in the white paper, that they'll be increasing the number of the time of settlement for people who have come on settlement routes, likewise skilled worker visa or healthcare worker visa. So which may have a retrospective effect. So there isn't any confirmation or a formal announcement whether it'll apply on those who have already come to the UK or it'll be for the new applicants. So as of today, we've learned from different insiders that the government has proposals that it should be applied on those who have come under the low or medium skilled visas in the last 3 years' time.
But as of right now, that is not imposed yet.
It is in the policy proposal and is in our consultation process at the moment.
Okay. Now, for our audience, if you don't mind explaining the difference between what is a white paper and then what is that process? When something gets suggested, who suggests it? Then what is the process of that becoming a change?
Okay. Immigration white paper starts with the policy proposal. So what the government intends to do. So when Labour came into power, they decided that they will cut down the net migration and they're going to stop the illegal migration. So that's how they introduced a white paper, that their long-term plan is to introduce these changes. So that was a policy proposal. So that proposal was brought into a consultation process. So people who are stakeholders or a body, a public service body like a migration advisory committee, they put on their recommendations. So that consultation process goes through. The third stage is legislation process. Okay. So that bill is brought onto the standing committee of the parliament. They make debate on it. And once that consultation has gone through successfully, that it becomes into the shape of a bill, which has to go through both the House of Parliament and the House of Commons. So once both houses approve that immigration bill, that's when it gets the royal assent and becomes the final bill for immigration, which the government has the power to implement at any point of time.
Okay. Now, something else that I always wanted to understand. So if let's say 20 different changes have been suggested in a white paper.
Yes.
Right? For a white paper to be accepted, all those 20 changes have to be accepted, or some can be accepted and others can be rejected?
Because there is a consultation process involved and there are stakeholders and also the migration advisory committee. So they take feedback from the stakeholders or the businesses, whether these changes will have any negative impact on the economy or the growth of the GDP. So that can be changed. They can be removed or they can be straightway implemented as they've been proposed.
Okay. So now let's talk about what changes are being proposed or are in the pipeline. What do you see happening over the next 5 years?
As of today, what we know is that the changes are being introduced to be brought by the start of next year, some of the changes. One of the most key change is that they're introducing a higher level of English. The reason behind is that they want to see people getting proper integration, understanding of their language and knowledge, obviously, and they want to have a proper cohesion of people who are coming to the UK. So that is the first step where they are introducing that from the 8th of January 2026.
Okay.
So people will require now A2 level equivalent of English previously, which was GCSE levels, the less level of English language required for the skilled worker visas.
Okay.
So, which is commonly known as B1 or B2 language.
Okay.
And that English language will also apply on the dependents of the skilled workers now.
Okay.
So those who have already come to the UK, if they'll be making application to bring their dependents after this date, their dependents need to pass the English language test.
Okay.
So, or the new applicants making application from abroad, main applicant and also their dependent has to pass the test. So dependents will require a lower level of English, which is A1 speaking and listening test, which is a similar test which is required for a UK spouse visas for spouses of British or settled persons in the UK.
Okay. And any other changes that you see coming in?
Yeah, apart from that, there is a proposed change in the indefinite leave to remain time, which is a very significant change if that has been brought on the table. The government in their white paper initially said that they'll be increasing the time for settlement in the UK from 5 years to 10 years for those will be applying for settlement routes.
So, sorry. So this is one of the questions that I was going to ask you later, but I'll insert it now. Now, this ILR change, does this affect everyone? You've also mentioned spouse visas, spouses of the British national and people who are settled here. Does it also affect them? And people coming on skilled worker route, or does it only affect people coming on skilled worker route?
The government has said that it will not apply on the spouse or family routes, I would say, for people who bring their spouses and they are settled here. So it will not apply on them. So those who are British citizen, they have indefinite leave to remain, they have a settled status. So it will not apply on that particular 5 years family route.
Okay.
It will be only introduced to those who are coming on the economic routes, I would say, which is skilled worker, healthcare worker, or maybe any other visa will be introduced later next year, maybe. Okay. So that clears it, because of what I do hear from a lot of people is that, it's going to affect everyone. It's going to affect all the routes. So that's why I wanted to clarify with you. Now, we've talked about now, in terms of the 10-year route or the increasing, so what people, people who are already on those work permits, right? They are currently in the country. Maybe somebody has already spent 4 years, right? And it's their last year. Yeah. Will it affect them as well, or new people coming into the country? It will only affect the new issued visas. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. So the information that we have at the moment suggests that there are government insiders who have confirmed that the government is planning to bring that change to people who have already entered in the UK, but from within the period of 22nd up till now. So those who have come, it may be that they will have a retrospective effect. So it is not yet in the official statement though, but there have been newspapers confirming that the government insiders have confirmed that the government is planning to bring such legislation, which can have an impact. People who have come
after 2022.
Yes.
So in the last 3 years, anybody who has entered in the last 3 years, anyone before 2022, it doesn't apply to them. It applies to anybody who's entered the country after 2022.
Yeah, that's what the news is. I mean,
but we're not sure.
There's nothing official about this.
Okay. So that kind of cleared it, because a lot of people have this thinking in there. So going back to, there is another similar question that I had. Going back to the spouse visa. So there have also been recent changes into the income levels, the income threshold, also the changes in the fees of the spouse visa and so on.
Yes.
Now, does that affect everybody, people who are currently, who've maybe done their 3 years or going to be applying for their for the renewal of their visa, or does it only affect people who will apply for fresh applications or new applications?
Okay. I'll go back and tell you from where it started. So in April 24, that's when the government raised the income requirement, minimum income requirement, what it is called, for people who are settled here and they want to bring their spouses or children. So the government introduced a significant change, and which was to raise the income requirement from 18,600 to 29,000 per annum. So that was a significant change. So people who were at the verge of making an application, they had to obviously cancel their plans because the change was introduced suddenly. And now the Migration Advisory Committee, after there were so many public voices, I would say, or some charities who were working to reunite the families. They have obviously pushed the government to that stage that they had to take the Migration Advisory Committee recommendations on that, which has suggested that the income requirement has to be reduced, because in nowhere in the Europe this income level is required to bring a family member. So their suggestion is to reduce it to 24,000, for which the government hasn't taken any steps yet.
Okay. But as of now, it applies to everyone who's going to be applying for a fresh application or a renewal of their current spouse visa.
It applies only to those who've made their application following the changes. So 29,000 is only required for those who have applied after the changes took place, not to those who brought their spouses already. Okay. So they can continue with the old requirement, which is 18,600.
Even if they're applying for a new visa?
That's correct.
Okay.
So if they are extending or they are applying for settlement, it doesn't apply on them.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that and the fees they will be paying the higher rate if there is a change.
Yeah, the fees, they keep on increasing every year. So whichever the new fee will be, it applies on everyone.
Okay. Now, in these changes that are currently being proposed, you've already mentioned the government might go back on one, which is the changes to the level of income that you require for a spouse visa. Now, are there any other changes that have already been made or are being proposed that you think may not go ahead?
I think one of the change about the indefinite leave to remain to apply retrospectively on the migrants who have already come to the UK, they have legitimate expectations. They've paid the correct fees. They've been made a promise that they'll eventually get settled in during this much time. I don't think, though, that it'll be a practical approach for the government to make it worse for the people who have already spent their fortune, because the fees that the government charge is way much higher than any country that the people had to pay for their immigration health surcharge and their visa fees. So I think it's non-practical for them, and they'll have a backlash from the people who work for the essential services, who are doctors, who are engineers, or work in the public sector.
Okay. Right. So I think we've covered the changes quite extensively here. Let's go over to things that people get wrong in their applications. You must see quite a few of those things. So what are the legal risks, things that people should be wary of, and compliance traps? So things that they get tangled in, they don't do the compliance properly. So it could be mismanagement of their salary, pay slips, it could be SOC codes, it could be various things. So can we talk about some of those things?
That's a very general question.
Yeah,
I would say it's a
question.
very wide question. When we talk about making an application, so it is always recommended that do not conceal any information or do not provide any false documents or make any frivolous application to the Home Office, because that's when the trouble starts. If you provide any wrong information, false information, and the Home Office, even if you've got settled, if they at any point come to know, they will strip down your settlement as well, and they can take off your nationality even. So it is always recommended to provide genuine, correct information which is true to the best of your knowledge. So one thing that I would recommend. The second is when it comes to skilled worker visa especially, sometimes we have seen people who have come to work as a sales administrator, let's say, when they don't find any option to extend their visas, they just make any skilled worker visa application, like they become butchers sometimes, they become support workers, they become auto technicians, or they become builders. So that's when the Home Office red flag alerts that the person who has come as a sales administrator, how suddenly he has developed his skills to work as a support worker or as a mechanic or as a butcher. So that's a red flag, especially considering the strict approach that the Home Office has taken now. So never make any application outside the skill set or the qualification that you have.
Okay. And now in terms of other compliance or things that people do get wrong in their application, what are the most common things that you see? or the trends that you see?
I think with the current situation, because not many sponsored jobs are now available because the government has increased the higher salary thresholds. They've removed certain number of skilled jobs on the skilled occupation list. So what I've seen is that people, they just try to make an application to stay here so that they can find a new sponsor. They get wrong there when a non-regulated person, or they just listen to their friends and they make any frivolous application sometime by making EU settlement scheme application just to extend their stay. The Home Office gets to know what your intention is when you submit such application, and they take it seriously. Now what they've taken the harshest approach now is that as soon as you make application which is baseless, they will refuse you under section 94, what we call, and they certify your application, which means that if you are a graduate or if you're switching from a student to a skilled worker and you bridge that gap with a different application, it will take away your right to make any point-based visa application. So you'll be left with no option, literally, and that'll be the end of your immigration journey in the UK. So never make any frivolous application.
Okay. So you've, I missed one thing I was supposed to ask you. There was a change, or a suggested change, about the student visas and people who come here over the student visas, about limiting how many years they can continuously stay in the UK. So they can probably, previously what the students were able to do, they could do their graduation in 3 years and then apply for another student visa while staying here to do another course to complete their 5 years or 10 years or however. So is that still the same, or that has changed? Because what I heard was that the students will not be able to make a second application while staying here. They will have to go back and reapply if they wish to continue the study.
That is not actually the right information, or the correct information, I would say. So students who have come to study here for a bachelor's degree, they can continue. They can study a master's program, or they can also go for a PhD program following that. So the maximum number of years a student can stay is limited to 8 years in this country.
Okay.
So let's say if someone has studied 3 years bachelor, they can do another 1 year master. So there'll be only 4 years time. They can have a 2 years graduate program or a 3 years research program maximum. So the limited time that they have is 8 years. So it's capped to 8 years basically for students. But if they switch on to visa like a skilled worker or a healthcare or a innovator visa, global talent visa, so there are a couple of visas that lead to settlement. However, if they clock a lawful 10 years in this country, so they can still apply for indefinite leave to remain based on their lawful 10 years.
Okay, but they can make this, so the key question there was they can make the switch while staying in the country.
Yes.
They don't have to break.
As long as they have completed their course successfully, they can make an application to stay.
Fantastic. Right. Moving on. This is, in this section, what I want to know is practical advice to the audience about some of the things that we've already spoken about, and also what kind of checks they should be making when making their application, or even if they're hiring somebody to do the application, what should be the key things they should have in mind before making an application or submitting or hitting that submit button. So what will be your practical advice to those people?
So my advice for, let's say, if we pick up students first. So if you're coming to study in this country, make sure you choose the right course, first of all, which will help you to develop your skills. If you want to just come to the UK to study any social sciences, which will only be an easier course to finish, but it will not give you any further hope to, get a skilled worker job or to get an employment in the UK. So make sure you choose the right course. First of all, make an informed research about the type of courses being offered, because some courses, they come with work experience or work placement. So those courses who give you industry experience or some insight of that relevant qualification. So I suggest that you make a research, not just go with the word of your advisor or an education consultant. Make your own choices, discuss with them what is better and where the industry shortage is. So course selection, as I said, is really important, and the students need to understand that this is their foundation where they will be building their whole entire journey.
Okay. Now, the next part comes with skilled worker visas. How should one check if somebody has been offered a skilled worker job? They've been fortunate to find a job, go through the interview process, they are accepted. Now, how do they know that their application is being made correctly? One, the company that's offering them the role is on the providers list.
Yes.
And they have all the right particulars to offer that person a work permit within the UK.
I've seen in the recent years there have been so many people who've been robbed of their money, and they've not been actually offered any jobs here. So my advice, if you want to apply for a skilled worker visa or a healthcare worker visa, there is a registered called a register of sponsors, where the licensed sponsors who've been allowed to recruit people from outside the country or from within the UK who are on the visas, which allows them to switch. So they need to look at that register of sponsors, find an appropriate sponsor, apply with them, to not use proxies like agents who ask for extortionate amount of monies. You can use recruitment agencies. Sometimes they've been very helpful. They can create your profile, brought on the table some options for you from prospective employers who can offer you a job with a proper salary and a proper work. There have been many roach employers who've been caught recently, and the record numbers of revocations, the sponsor license revocations, has happened in this year.
Oh,
so
wow.
more than 2,000 sponsors have lost their license just because they were involved in these practices. And those who have come under those companies, they've been obviously left with no choice other than to switch their visas or leave the country.
Okay. Now, if I was to ask you your 3 key advices that you would give to anyone, what would they be?
I think when it comes to migration, if I will talk about, as I said before, finding the right way to migrate is really important. So make a right choice, and then to execute that choice, choose the right way to execute it. Do not fall into traps of agents by bribing them, by paying them, etc. Or always use a regulated immigration advisor or a solicitor, because they are accountable. If they do anything wrong, you can take them to their regulator or take them into the court, because unregulated people who provide advice, they are committing criminal offense. It is criminal offense to provide immigration advice in this country if you're not regulated. So choose the right person, and when it comes to making an application, provide all the genuine, correct information, make your skills better before you plan. So if you would like to take any short courses, if you want to take any vocational courses, and learn about job choices where you can easily find sponsorship. So there are industries which there is a shortage, like teachers who work with special children. So I've seen a couple of my own clients who've been advised correctly, and they've got their sponsorships from the public bodies, and they are successfully having their career.
Fantastic. Now, these are 3 really good advices for anybody who's interested in migrating to UK or any other country in that matter. And I think I would like to add something to what you've already said. What I do find is a lot of people, they're educated, they can do it themselves, but they opt for agents to complete their forms, their visa application forms, and then they won't even go back and read it. So and that's where you do not know, you know yourself better than them. And the information that you will provide will be to the best of your knowledge, not to the agents. Yeah. They may not be as truthful as you would be. Am I right in saying that?
You're absolutely right, and that is very important. It's good that you've reminded me of that. So whenever you are submitting an application, make sure if that agent has completed the application from you, you have checked it carefully. You also have the access of that email which has been used to create your application.
Absolutely.
Because that's the thing where all the decision or all the correspondence will keep coming. So sometimes we have seen that the agents have access to that email. They've created it for the person and they even don't know which information has been submitted. I've seen people have got deception. So when they contacted us, they had no, knowledge of which application was submitted and when it got refused. So we had to take their data from the Home Office first, and then when we had a look, they were banned for several years. Wow. So it is really important that email or the data that you provide to that person, you are 100% sure that it will not be used for any other purposes than your application. And if they do so, you are taking them, you can take a legal action against them.
Fantastic. Thank you. Now, coming up to now the final checks, we've talked about the application. Now, people who are currently in the UK, they are either on work permits, they're students, whoever they are. Now, your advice to them, how often should they be reviewing the changes in the immigration law, the part that they are on, and making sure that the choices that they have made are still correct?
Yeah, that is also important because sometimes the key changes have already been taken place. Let's say when you entered into the UK, there was a different English language requirement, and for your extension or for your settlement, the changes have been introduced. So you should keep an eye on the statement of changes. So, or you can follow the right channels or the right people who can provide you with an up-to-date advice. So if you want to check from the Home Office website, so there is a list of changes which you can sign up for, and the Home Office, whenever there is a new change, you can get an update from their system also.
Okay. Now, final thoughts, last few questions for you. Chief amongst which one would be that if you were to give one advice to the people who are in the system right now and they haven't got their settlements completed yet, what is the one thing that you wish you would tell everyone right now?
I think I've seen some examples where people who've got into a trouble, like suppose if there is a skilled worker who have lost their sponsor license or they've lost their visa, and they can have a better opportunity if they sometime have to go back, and they can always come back on a better visa. But whenever you try to make a frivolous application or any baseless claim, like people sometimes claim asylum, so that will ruin your immigration history. So if you are denied your visa application and if you go back and reapply, they will bring that up again, saying that you've tried to frustrate the intention of immigration rules and we are not allowing you to enter into the UK, maybe again as a student, or the previous application that you have made, which may make you an overstayer in this country. So never get overstayed, never make any bogus claims or make any frivolous applications. That's what I
Fantastic. Would say. Now, moving away from the workers, and for a small touch upon, my understanding has always been, or in the last at least 10-15 years has been, that there were no more asylums. There were no more asylum seekers. And in the last few months, we've been watching everything on the news that's been going on with all the asylum seekers and them staying in the hotels and all those sorts of things. Yeah. How did that happen? How did that come about?
So we've seen this in both legal and illegal migrants. Legal migrants, obviously, when they have no choice, in some cases, we've seen people making asylum claims because they had no choice. They don't want to go back, and then they just make claims. I understand sometimes they have a genuine reason to do so, and they've been obviously checked and examined by the Home Office. They have a whole system to process the asylum claims. But in some cases, people just make claims to, get a longer duration of time so that they can work meanwhile. Like, why is an asylum claim takes about a year to process. And when someone has been refused, they get a further right to appeal, which takes another 6 to 12 months time. So one can just play around the intention of immigration rules, and they can work by making any type of asylum claim. Now, obviously, with the illegal migration, which had like 40,000 crossings last year, more than 40,000 people who came illegally in this country. And of course, they don't come with anything in their hands. So the government, with their obligation as the signatories of the convention, had to put them to a safe place. So they've been offered places because the people who have come, they are in record numbers. So the government had no choice other than to put them into the hotels because the places are already full. And even the legal migration, as you've seen, that people have a lot of stress on the public services like NHS. There's a huge waiting list, policing, all over this country. So the housing crisis is there. So it has impacted every service in this country, whether it's legal migration or illegal migration. That is why the government has decided to reduce it by introducing these new changes.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because for some reason, I always thought that asylum claims have been stopped for a long time ago. Maybe
that is not true. So I think last year, as I remember, there were nearly 100,000 asylum claims.
Oh, wow. Wow. So there we are, guys. Now, this is the time for you, sir, to tell the audience if they want to reach you. How can they reach you? If they should reach you, what kind of services do you offer them? And yeah, so the camera is yours. Please.
I hope the podcast was helpful for you guys. We covered most of the questions which are frequently being asked. So if you have any further questions or would like to reach me, I have my immigration account on the Instagrams, which is at the name of Riyaz.immigrationlawyer. So you can reach me on Instagram. You can reach me. You can also find me on TikTok. And if you would like to visit me, I have my office in Central London at Judy Street. The closest station is Aldgate, I guess. So which is pretty close to Tower Bridge. So if you want to reach me, you can contact my office as well. So I hope to serve all your needs for your personal, business, immigration, and also if you have any issues with your family matters. So we also deal with the family law.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Riaz. It has been a pleasure speaking to you. It has been very informative. And maybe we can do another one when these changes have completed, and then we can review in a year's time and see how things are. But for now, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, guys, this was Riaz. As always, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please do comment, do send us a message. We'll share all the details of Mr. Riaz in the description with the links, with the address, details, and so on and so forth. Please reach out to him if you need to. For now, that's all. Thank you very much. Please like, share, subscribe. For now, goodbye.